All right, Patriots fans, let's talk about what's really going on in Foxborough this week because the storylines are piling up and there's a lot of excitement mixed with nerves around this team. The headline that everybody has been waiting for is finally here. Christian Gonzalez has stepped back onto the practice field. That's right, after what felt like forever, we got to see him out there, even if it was just in a limited role. Just the sight of him running drills again was a massive lift, not just for the fans, but for the entire roster. And the best part? Gonzalez himself made it clear that he's feeling good, he's ramping up, and he even pushed back against the whispers that he didn't want to suit up last week. He said it flat out. He never once felt like he didn't want to play football. He was itching to go, but had to respect the medical staff's call. That's exactly what you want from a young cornerstone of a defense. A guy hungry to be out there, but smart enough to follow the plan and not make things worse. Now, the tricky part with an injury like this is that it isn't just about the players saying, "I'm good." A hamstring can fool you. One wrong step and you're back to square one, sometimes for months. So the decision isn't just Gonzalez's to make. It falls on the doctors and coaches to figure out whether he's truly ready. Do you roll him out against Carolina in Week 4 and hope for the best? Or do you hold him back knowing the Bills are waiting right after? That's the tough balance New England has to strike, because this isn't a cupcake stretch of the schedule. Carolina might be limping through their season, but then you've got Buffalo, then a road trip to the Superdome, where it's always tough no matter how the Saints are playing, then a sneaky test with the Titans, and not long after that you're staring at the Browns, who might have the nastiest defense in the league right now. These are not games you can coast through. You need every weapon at your disposal, and Gonzalez getting back on the field sooner rather than later could be the difference in pulling out some of those close battles. The challenge, of course, is that one guy doesn't fix everything. Even with Gonzalez coming back, it's clear this secondary still needs help. We already know the Patriots called up the Titans about Jarvis Brownlee before he ended up with the Jets for the price of a 6th-round pick. That's basically pocket change in NFL trade terms. New England could have probably landed him by sweetening the deal a little, maybe offering a 5th, but decided against it. And now you look at what's happened the last couple of weeks. Alex Austin's struggles have been obvious. Marcus Jones has stepped in, but can only do so much, and you can't help but wonder if the Patriots let a golden opportunity slip by. And that's where the nostalgia kicks in. Because every time this conversation about secondary help comes up, Patriots fans immediately bring one name to the table: Stephon Gilmore. The former Defensive Player of the Year, the Super Bowl hero, the guy who used to erase entire sides of the field in this very uniform. He's out there as a free agent at 34 years old. And sure, the thought of bringing him home has an emotional pull, but does it make sense right now? Gilmore is still talented, no question, but cornerbacks in their mid-30s are a gamble. At that age, you're not looking for someone to carry your defense. What you're hoping for is a veteran presence, a leader who can stabilize the group, mentor the younger guys, and maybe make a few clutch plays when the moment calls for it. That's valuable, but it's not the same as having a long-term solution. If New England was really serious about fixing this spot, a move like Brownlee would have been smarter. That's why I think a Gilmore reunion is more of a social media fantasy than something the front office is seriously planning. Still, it's the NFL. Stranger things have happened, and sometimes desperation late in the season makes old reunions possible. Now, if Gilmore's name is floating around, then the shockwave from Houston has everyone talking even louder. The Texans cutting C.J. Gardner-Johnson after only 3 games is wild. Think about this. They traded a recent first-round pick just to get him, expecting him to be a defensive cornerstone. And here we are, not even a month into the season, and they've already decided it's over. This is the same guy who had 6 interceptions last year and was a massive part of the Eagles' Super Bowl run. But in Houston, the fit was never right. They had him stuck in more zone coverage, which doesn't match his instincts. He's at his best when he's allowed to attack, play aggressive, blitz off the edge, and hunt the ball. Instead, they forced him into a scheme that didn't suit his game, and the results showed. Add in some locker room concerns, and suddenly the Texans said enough is enough. Now, there's no connection yet between New England and Gardner-Johnson, but you can't ignore the possibility. Mike Vrabel has been clear for years. If a talented player becomes available, you at least make the call. That doesn't mean you sign him, but you explore it. And look, the Patriots like what they've got in Jalen Hawkins and Craig Woodson, but depth at safety is never something you take for granted. If you're serious about building a playoff-caliber defense, you kick the tires on a guy like Gardner Johnson. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but you have to do your homework. That said, the Eagles fan base is already screaming for him to come back to Philly, and that probably makes more sense for him. But New England should not just dismiss it, because at the end of the day, this is a team that needs playmakers, and Gardner Johnson has proven he can be one, even if he comes with some baggage. While the defense has been the main topic, the heartbeat of this team right now is Drake May. Through only 3 weeks, he's already shown why the Patriots invested so heavily in him. He openly admits we haven't seen his best football yet, and still he's top 5 in the league with nearly 800 passing yards. That's insane for a rookie who's just starting to get his feet wet. But what makes him special isn't just the stats. It's the way he carries himself. He's already being asked whether he belongs in the top 15, the top 10, maybe even the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. And instead of letting that hype get to him, he shrugs it off and says wins matter more than numbers. That's the kind of mindset you want from your leader. He's saying all the right things, he's focused on the team, and at the same time he's proving on the field that he's got the tools to back it up. And let's be honest, when you stack him against some of the quarterbacks around the league, it's hard not to put him right in that conversation already. You've got veterans hanging on in the twilight of their careers. You've got former top picks still trying to prove they belong. And then you've got May, a rookie who looks like he's been doing this for years. He doesn't have the rings or the resume yet, but when you watch him, you see the poise, the decision-making, and the arm talent that screams franchise quarterback. That changes everything for New England. Suddenly, the conversation isn't just about surviving the season or patching holes. It's about building a future, one where this team finally has its guy under center again. All right, let's keep this rolling because the conversation about Drake May and where he ranks among the league's quarterbacks is just getting started. Through only a handful of games, the kid is already showing signs of being the real deal, and you can feel the buzz building not just in New England but around the entire NFL. What makes it fascinating is how quickly he's jumped into the discussion with names who have been established for years. He doesn't have a full season of starts under his belt, yet people are already asking if he's top 15, maybe top 10, and that's not crazy talk. When you go through the league quarterback by quarterback, it becomes clear there are a lot of guys May is already outshining. Take the bottom tier, for example. You've got veterans like Joe Flacco who are hanging on for one more go, or stopgap players like Spencer Rattler and Browning thrown into tough situations and just trying to keep the offense afloat. Those guys aren't outplaying May, not right now. Then you move up a little to quarterbacks like Carson Wentz stepping in for J.J. McCarthy or Jackson Dart taking over for Russell Wilson. These are names you recognize, but none of them have shown anything that makes you think they're ahead of a rookie who already is close to 800 yards and looks composed in big moments. Even Justin Fields, who's been dynamic with his legs, still faces questions as a passer, and May's ceiling feels much higher. So right away, you realize he's already passed a chunk of the league. That gets him into the top 20 without even breaking a sweat. Now let's talk about that next tier, the guys who show flashes but haven't proven they can consistently win games. Players like Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Michael Penix, or even Geno Smith. Each one has had good stretches. Jones has had moments where he looks sharp, Darnold had a resurgence last season, Penix has the hype of being a valued rookie, and Geno has put up some decent numbers. But do you honestly look at any of those players and think they have the same long-term upside as Drake May? Probably not. That's how quickly May climbs the ladder. You start putting him in those conversations, and suddenly top 15 doesn't sound unrealistic at all. In fact, it feels like the bare minimum based on what we've already seen. From there, it gets interesting because now you're dealing with the middle ground of the league, the quarterbacks who can win you games but don't necessarily scare anyone on a weekly basis. Think about guys like Trevor Lawrence, who has been up and down despite all the hype, or Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, who are still trying to find their rhythm after rocky starts. Bo Nix hasn't looked like his old self this year, and Cam Ward is still finding his way. These are all players who are supposed to be part of the next wave. But right now, May looks more composed and more consistent than any of them. That puts him firmly in the conversation as a top 15 quarterback already. And again, we're only talking about 3 weeks of football. The pace he's on and the way he's leading his offense makes you think about how high this climb could go. So then you hit the real debate. Can Drake maybe consider top 10 right now? This is where things start to heat up because now you're comparing him to quarterbacks with real resumes. Dak Prescott is a good example. He has the contract, the experience, and the numbers, but his decision-making has been shaky at times, and you wonder if May is already playing cleaner football. Brock Purdy is another case. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's proven himself in the big games. But is he really more talented than May? That's a fair question. Kyler Murray is electric when he's healthy, but he's also inconsistent and hasn't taken his team to the next level. Jordan Love is getting paid and has played well in Green Bay's system. But if you're building a franchise today, would you pick him over May? A lot of people would say no. And that's how quickly the argument forms. May has the upside, he's showing the production, and when you line him up against guys like that, you start realizing he belongs in the top 11, maybe even higher. Now there's that fascinating trio of young stars. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. Each one has their case. Caleb Williams is the flashy number 1 overall pick the guy scouts called transcendent. Jaden Daniels already has the playoff resume after guiding his team deep last year. And then there's May, the balanced mix of production, poise, and potential. You could put those three in any order between 9, 10, and 11, and you wouldn't be wrong. Some will lean on the playoff results, others on raw talent, but it's hard to deny that May belongs right there. That's huge, because when you're talking about quarterbacks in the top 10 conversation, you're usually talking about players who've been around for years, not rookies who are still adjusting. That tells you just how quickly he's earned respect around the league. And then we move to the elite tier, the guys who have separated themselves. Jared Goff has been steady. Matthew Stafford continues to show his arm is still dangerous. Baker Mayfield is shocking everyone with how well he's playing, and Jalen Hurts has proven he can lead a team to the Super Bowl even without gaudy stats. Justin Herbert is climbing into that group as well, showing why he's been hyped for years. And then you have the holy trinity of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen at the very top. These are the names May is chasing, and while he isn't there yet, you can make a case that he's already on the path. The gap between him and the guys in the middle tier feels smaller than the gap between him and the bottom tier, and that's the real takeaway. In just a few weeks, he's narrowed the distance to the very best in the league, and that's something Patriots fans should be thrilled about. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world might be bracing for a seismic shakeup as whispers grow louder around Kyle Dugger, the standout safety known for his versatility and instinctive play. Sources close to the league suggest that Dugger, whose presence has been a cornerstone of his current team's defensive scheme, could be quietly exploring options with a divisional rival. The mere thought has already sent shockwaves through fan bases and sports circles alike. Dubbed a Cold War scenario by some insiders, the talks are reportedly being conducted under extreme discretion. Executives and agents are keeping a tight lid on details, but the idea of Dugger crossing to a rival has fueled a frenzy of speculation. Analysts note that while nothing is confirmed, the potential implications are massive. A player of Dugger's caliber could instantly alter the balance of power in a division already brimming with talent. Fans have taken to social media, dissecting every interview and game tape, searching for hints of dissatisfaction or hidden motivation. Every tweet, every ambiguous comment from team officials is being scrutinized under a microscope. Some suggest Dugger's interest might be financially motivated, while others argue he's looking for a fresh challenge, the kind that comes with stepping directly into the heart of a familiar foe's territory. Veteran sports commentators are weighing in cautiously. If this moves beyond rumor, one analyst said, we're talking about a strategic masterstroke or a public relations nightmare, depending on how it's handled. Rival front offices are reportedly monitoring the situation quietly, aware that even a hint of Dugger's availability could trigger a bidding war. Meanwhile, teammates and coaches are maintaining a tight-lipped stance, leaving the speculation to spiral. At this stage, the story is all smoke and mirrors. Yet the potential for fireworks is undeniable. Kyle Dugger's next move could redefine a division rivalry, spark endless debates, and perhaps set a precedent for secret negotiations that rock the NFL world. As the rumor mill churns, one thing is certain. Every fan, every analyst, and every competitor is watching closely, wondering if the Cold War is about to turn hot. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.